Go.
All right. So today we are going to talk about modulation. Moving from one key to another. That's really what modulation is, changing from one key to another. Now, most modulations are to what we call closely related keys. Okay? So let's say I'm in the key of C major. Then one of the most common places to go would be to G major, which would be the dominant, right? The other common major place to go would be to F major, which would be fifth below. So those are, if you're in a certain key, two of the most common modulations are fifth above or fifth below. The key of fifth above and the key of fifth below. Okay? Then also there's the minors. And so one place to go would be to the related minor key, which in case of C major would be A minor. Right? And then also the related minors of each of these keys themselves. So E minor and D minor would also be possible what we say, target keys from C major. Okay? These are what we call closely related keys. So from C you can, or from any key you can go to the dominant or to the subdominant, and then you can go to the related minors of any of those three keys: the key itself, the dominant, or the subdominant. Now, those are also all one sharp or one flat away. Right? These are all one sharp above. These are all one flat below, if you want to think of it that way. And this is the same key signature. Okay. So those are closely related keys, and that's the most common type of modulation, moving to a closely related key. And closely related keys we define as being one sharp or one flat away. So if you're in D major, you could go to one sharp, which is G major, or you could go to E minor, or you could go to A major, which is three sharps, or you go to F sharp minor, which is three sharps also. That's what I'm talking about. Or let's say you're in A flat major. In A flat major, you could go to E flat, which is one flat less, or you could go to D flat, which is one flat more. Or you could go to E flat minor, which is related to D flat. You go to C minor, which is the related to E flat. Or you go to F minor, which is the related to A flat. So anything that's one flat, one sharp, or one flat away, those are closely related keys. Everybody okay with that? Mm-hmm. Now, the most common way to do that is by what we call a common chord. The most usual way to do that is by a common chord. Okay. So let's take the example of going from C major to G major. Okay. Here's C major, here's G major. Here's my chords in C major. This is going to take me a minute. And here's my chords in G major. So what we want to look for is a chord that is in both keys, that works in both keys, or is actually part of both keys. So if we're going from C major to G major, we want to look for what we would call a common chord. So if we look at G major, there are some chords that are just not going to be part of the C major because of the F sharp, right? So like this one, the B minor, the 3 chord, that's not going to work. It's not going to be common to both keys. Or the 5 chord, the D major chord, that's not going to work because it's not part of both keys. Or this one, right? Because they all have F sharp in them, and since there's no F sharp in C major, that's not going to work as a common chord between the two keys. Does that make sense? Okay, so then we're left with the 2 chord and the 4 chord, and the 6 chord in the target key. Now the 1 chord itself, the 5 chord, is usually not used as a common chord, or what we call a pivot chord is another term for this. And this is the reason. I mean, if you're in C major and you're trying to go to G, and you get to the 5 chord, the 5 chord has a really strong tendency to lead us back to tonic, right? And in this case, we're actually looking for a chord that is more ambiguous, that is going to allow us to move into that new key. So the 5 chord in the old key is not going to really get us back to G major. We want something that is more, a little bit different. So that's why we would not use this chord either. Okay, so that's why I'm going to eliminate it from the possibilities. So that leaves us with the A minor triad here, which is the 2 chord here, the C major triad, and the E minor triad. Those are the 3 common chords that we could easily use to get from this key to this key. Okay, so in C major, this A minor triad is the 6 chord, and the C major triad is the 1 chord, and this is the 3 chord here. Okay, so if I'm in C major, I can use the C major triad itself, I can use the 3 chord, or I can use the 6 chord to get me into G major. And this is kind of how it works. So let's say I'm in C major, and I'm running along in normal C major. I play a 1, 4, 5, 1 progression, okay? And then I want to start modulating. Okay, so a really common one would be to use this like 6 chord here. Okay, so I would then maybe move to the 6 chord in C major, which I would then rename the 2 in G major. Okay, so the A minor triad, which was the 6 chord, I'm now going to start thinking of it as the 2 chord in G major. And if that was the 2 chord, what normally follows 2 in any given key?
4, 5.
5, right? Yeah, 4 could come, but let's say 5. So 5, and then after 5, I'd probably go to 1, something like that. And so that's the idea behind a common chord modulation, as a way of moving smoothly from one key to the other. So let me just, so if I did, just like what I played there, I'm in C major, play a 1, 4, 5, 1, then I move to a 6, 5, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the wrong key. 1, 4, 5, 6, 6, which becomes my 2 chord, which then I then go to 5, 1. Now I'm in G major. But I might want to even do something more elaborate. Let's say 1, 4, 5, 6, which becomes 2, and then do something like 1, 6, 4, 5. Okay. Or let's see, 2. Well, not too much else. I could do
you're
a
7,
2
right?
chord. A 7 diminished?
From the 2?
Yeah. If I did to a 7 diminished. Something like that.
That sounds finished.
Yeah. Well, then but you could do something like that. Not uncommon to do some other, to do something even beyond that to really solidify the new key. The idea behind this is to move smoothly from one key to the next. So rather than just be in one key and then say, okay, now I'm in a new key, you know, and start playing chords in that new key. So for example, if I'm in C major,
Rock and roll.
and I decide I'm going to go to G major and just go, and just play, you know, the 5 and the 1 in G major, it's a little too sudden. So the idea behind this common chord modulation is to move smoothly from one key to the next, to take that chord